Magic.
Zur the Enchanter has long been a staple in Commander decks and in EDH, and for a while he was top tier CEDH in a competitive format, and now he's kind of like a tier 1.5. He's edging his way towards the competitive, but with a lot of the new cards that have been out there, we don't see him as much. But Duskmourn just might change all of that. So Duskmourn is going to give us a new infinite combo. Now, to be clear, you don't actually have to use Zur the Enchanter in your Commander deck if you want to take advantage of the new infinite. He just makes a lot of sense. That being said, the Master of Keys is another great option as he gives all of your enchantments escape to allow for some recursion. With Zur the Enchanter, he's also limited to enchantments of mana 3 or less that you can go fetch for, but make no mistake, your deck will probably have a lot of those. It just happens to also be that the main 2 cards in the combo we'll talk about today do cost 4 mana. Now, another option would also be Zur the Eternal Schemer. He's only 3 mana to get out. He's still 1/4. He still flies. He gives some ability to protect your enchantments. And his activated ability that makes enchantments become creatures again is a single use. It's a repeatable use, of course, but it is a use that mimics one of the cards in our combo. Now, a final option, of course, would be the Sen triplets, which has to be one of the saltiest cards in all of Magic. They are hilarious to go use. The only problem, of course, being with them, despite everything else that they do, as soon as people see that commander on the board, whether it's actually in play or not, it's pretty much a 3-on-1 game. So let's start talking about this new combo and specifically sacrificing of creatures. So we're dealing with a 3-card combo, which is commonplace inside of competitive EDH and casual. However, what's nice about this particular 3-card combo is that only 2 of the cards are required, and then you have many options for the 3rd card to make it go infinite. So let's take a look. The first one coming in Duskmourn that's kicking this all off is the Enduring Tenacity. Now, there are Enduring cards in each color inside of Duskmourn. And so Tenacity, which is black, is an enchantment creature, as all the Enduring cards are. And so when it goes to the graveyard, it comes back as an enchantment. Okay, fine. Well, going back to a reserve list card, Opalescence. Opalescence is really starting to take off on the card market. We can take a look here at TCG Player, and you will see 480 for near mint foil. Yeah, whatever. But they have been selling some near mint foils for almost $200 lately. So you see our graph, and presently, this is the cheapest one on TCG for near mint. All right, if we go to like play, you know, you'll shave a few dollars off of that. It probably gets back into the upper 20s or so. So there you go, $28. So Opalescence, per the card, makes any enchantment that is in play a creature. Okay, so with Enduring Tenacity, it starts as a creature. If it gets sacrificed to go to the graveyard, it comes back into play as an enchantment. Opalescence makes it a creature again. And this is the next cool part. And so because it becomes a creature over and over again, you can use something like Altar of Dementia. Sacrifice a creature, no other cost. Target player mills 3 cards. So there's your infinite. 1, 2, 3. You can continue to sacrifice your Enduring Tenacity. It'll come back into play. And for an entire pod in Commander, you can deck everybody instantly. So Draftism has an article about the 59 best sacrifice outlets in Magic. Now, perhaps their 59 cards that they select could be hotly debated, but I post the link in the description of this video because it is a really great article, and it will give you, as I scroll through here, a list of all of the cards, or many of the cards, that will allow you to sacrifice for great benefit. Of these, some of these that don't go infinite, but are certainly very beneficial, like the Dockside Chef. 2 mana, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Okay, so this can help early on if you get your combo up to get the rest of your cards. Shadowheart Dark Justicar. This is an interesting one. You have to pay 2 mana and tap her, but you sacrifice a creature to draw X cards where X is the creature's power. So with Enduring Tenacity, 4 power, you get 4 cards every time you were to use Shadowheart along with them. Ayaria, the first lock whatever Wayne. Whenever a creature comes into play, your opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Well, that's also the effect of the Enduring Tenacity. Now, you would still need another outlet to sacrifice the creature, but if you do, she would double up on it. And of course, at the bottom of her second ability, you can tap her, sacrifice a black creature, draw a card. So you can also start pinging everybody for life. But in a competitive environment, hitting everybody for 1 or 2 is probably just enough to wake everybody up and kind of get everybody upset at you. But the Phyrexian Plague Lord is a board wipe unlimited. Sacrifice a creature, target creature gets -1/-1 to the end of turn. With Opalescence and Enduring Tenacity, you can continue to sack everything until every creature on the board, except for yours, is completely at 0/0, right? And they all go to the graveyard. Attrition is a little lighter version of that, but it's also only 3 mana, and it's only 1 black. It's an enchantment for 3 mana, which Zur allows you to tutor for enchantments basically every time he deals combat damage. So for 1 black, you can sacrifice a creature and destroy a non-black creature. Also very helpful for the board wipes. Now, the Carrion Feeder is kind of infinite because you can use the sacrificing ability with Opal and Tenacity to at least make the Carrion Feeder a million creature, right? And then you can go ahead and start attacking with it that way. Now, the Viscera Seer would be a critical one, and it's a great creature because it's only 1 mana. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. So this will allow you to set up your deck every time to make sure that you want to draw your card. So between this one and then something like Shadowheart, Dark Justicar, you can scry to get to the cards that you want to get on top and then go ahead and draw 4. And then there's also other combos that allow you to sacrifice a creature and draw a card. You can continue to bounce back and forth for very little mana to, in essence, basically tutor in a single turn for your whole deck. The Woe Strider does the same thing, sacrifice another creature and scry 1. So you have 2 cards that can get you to a space where you can get your deck set up. Brave is interesting because he doesn't tap, so you can use him multiple times in a turn. However, it's not necessarily going to be infinite unless you can get all that mana out of it, which I'll show you how you can do, although it adds more than 3 cards to the combo. But in this case, you can sacrifice X creatures, target players draws X cards and gain X life, with X counters on crabs. So you can only use with the mechanics, you can only use for 1 mana would be 1 sacrifice, but you could use it multiple times a turn to be drawing lots of cards and to also pump up Crave to make him really dangerous. Sadistic Hypnotist. It's a creature, it's 5, so it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but this is an infinite to make the entire pod discard their whole hands. So this is another way that even if it's not a win con, it's a card that you can put in your deck, and if you draw it when you got Opalescence and Tenacity, then at least you can pretty much give yourself such an advantage that probably everybody would scoop. The Eternal Pilgrim is also a good card to stick in your deck. It doesn't quite allow for infinite, but it allows you to get some pretty reliable life gain, and for a 2/3 creature for only 2 mana, when you're going to be playing blue, white, and black, it can be an early blocker and certainly a convenient card to have. Plus, it has the ability for the 3 mana, if you're gaining more life, as Tenacity would allow you to do in this game, to be able to start destroying non-land permanents from your opponent's team. So this is an ability in your pod to start getting rid of those artifacts and enchantments and other things to start to control your board state. The Blasting Station does allow the 3 cards to go infinite. So you sacrifice a creature, and it deals 1 damage to target creature or player from the Blasting Station. But whenever a creature comes into play, you may untap the Blasting Station, right? So in this particular case, it's going to be untapping it every time Tenacity comes back into play, and that becomes another one of your possible cards of 3 cards to be able to give you your win condition. The Trading Post is just a good safety card because it allows you to sacrifice a creature and then return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And so because your 3-card combos, some of them are going to be artifacts, this is a handy card to be able to get you some recursion so you can start dredging up old cards that you need. The Phyrexian Altar, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color. So that is infinite mana and infinite black. And with some of the other sacrificing cards that we were showing you, like with Crab and things like that, or Crave, that can allow you to use his ability forever. That adds in a 4th card, but it still will work as an infinite and just gives you additional possibilities. Now, Ashnod's Altar Ashnod's Altar is a very classic card. It's been around, I think, since, you know, basically the beginning of the game, more or less. Sacrifice a creature, add 2 colorless. So that too also gives you infinite mana. And so what's great about both of those, again, it's just multiple combinations to allow you to do other things. The Blood Artist, just a simple uncommon card, 0/1 creature. It would add the 4th card to your combo, but that also would give you a win condition. So if you have any of the other options, like the Ashnod's Altar, that allows you to sacrifice creatures to gain mana, the mana part becomes actually irrelevant. It's the Blood Artist that is going to be causing players to lose infinite life while you're gaining infinite life. Now, the Grave Pack is a great enchantment. However, it's 4 mana, so Zur can't grab it, but we could be playing with a variety of different generals. Whenever a creature you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each other player sacrifices a creature. So with Enduring Tenacity, it's another way to do a complete board wipe of all the other creatures that are on the board by using his loop. Doesn't win you the game, but it certainly puts you in the driver's seat. Enduring Tenacity on TCG Player is showing about $7.50 for a pre-sale buy, which I think is pretty cheap. I wouldn't be surprised, though it could hover around $10. We just don't know how the packs will open, how they'll crack, how many will become available. For me, personally, and my partner Thalid, we're not really big into these single card pre-sale purchases, because if it goes up to $30, everyone's just going to cancel the purchase anyway on you, right? That just seems to be so commonplace now when it comes to TCG Player, that the sellers just simply aren't going to take a bath and sell a card for 25% of the value of what they're hoping to get for it. So this will work only if the item stays about the same. But to me, it's not worth the risk to pay for it now, a month or 2 in advance. You know, even if it was 5 days in advance, basically for something that's going to be shipping out a long time later, and probably best case scenario, even if it goes up a few dollars, they'll still give you the card. But if it doubles or triples or more, they're probably going to miraculously say they don't have the card and they're just going to give you a refund. The Zur deck doesn't have to be pricey, although generally most Commander decks are, right? You've got your dual lands. There's going to be some older legacy cards. Opalescence, if you've got one for a long time, they were, you know, $6 to $10. They're getting more expensive now, but you don't have to get a near mint one. You could probably get one for $10 to $15 if you want to take heavily played. You're going to need Rustic Study. You know, Rustic Study is, you know, $30, $40 card if you don't have that, but that's a common. A lot of people do have that card anyway. So keep an eye on it. And I still think if you can catch some Opalescence for $20, maybe even $25, I'd pick up a couple. I think that this card is going to get really, really expensive.
Subscribe, or else I'll cast Dismember on you while you sleep.
Magic.